You are listening to the Joyce Ulrich Show from Toronto, Canada, Arts and Entertainment Edition.
In the morning, I wake up my sleepy head. To the mirror, I find someone else instead. Looking back, questioning all I've said. Whose reflection gives pause to disguise a shed? Quest before me, and who will I find in here? Pick off the layers, a faceless voice appears, invoking wisdom with words that I cannot hear. Wander aimless, distracted by flash and shine, panaceas and snake oil wasting time. Onward searching, the true self eludes my gaze. Hang on to things that will help to make me brave. Quest before me, and who will I find in here? Take off the layers, a faceless voice appears, invoking wisdom with words that I cannot hear. Go easy, why don't you now go easy? Am I in here? Am I in there? Am I in here? Am I in there? Quest before me, and who will I find in here? Blink off the layers, a faceless voice appears, invoking wisdom with words that I cannot hear. In the morning, I wake up my sleepy head, walk to the mirror, I find someone else instead. Looking back, questioning all I've said. Whose reflection gives pause to disguise a shed? Quest before me, who will I find in here? Take off the layers, a faceless voice appears, invoking wisdom with words that I cannot hear. Go easy, why don't you now go easy? Am I in here? Am I in there? Am I in here? Am I in there? Am I in here? Am I in there? Am I in here? Am I in there?
And that is Quest Before Me, and that is a track from my wonderful guest today. Her name is Norine Braun, and that is from her Journey Toward Wilderness album that just was released just in May 24th, and it's a wonderful album, and she's got a great story to tell today. Norine is, of course, renowned for her soulful vocals, which you just heard, and introspective songwriting in multiple genres. You're going to hear that today as well. And she's got 40 14 albums to her name. So prolific singer-songwriter, award-winning songwriter. Braun's music explores themes of the environment, identity, heritage, and the universal journey of life. She is Métis. She's Two-Spirit, and her last album, Songs for Trees, is dedicated to the forests and the spirits within the trees. And we talk a lot about those things here on the Joyce Aldrich Show because we love that journey as well. And she won the First Peoples Cultural Council Award from Canada Council for the Arts. So again, like I said, wonderful music, award-winning music, and we're going to be listening to Journey Toward Wholeness and her journey, which is as an adoptee. She just recently connected with her Red River Métis paternal heritage, and what an incredible story. So Norine Braun, I'm so boy, I'll tell you, I'm tongue twisting today. Let me tell you, but because there's so much to talk about here today, Norine. So glad to have you here.
Well, thanks so much, Joyce. It's great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's absolutely my pleasure. So we got to just start off with your story because 2021 is not that far away. You know, it was only, it's less than 3 years ago, really.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
we're not even finished 2024 yet, right? And sadly, your mom passed. And
That's right.
yeah, this is your adopted mom. And yeah, can you tell us
Yeah.
that story? Because this is the whole deal with Journey Toward Wholeness.
Yeah. So my mom was sick during the height of COVID, and she lives in Calgary. I live in Vancouver, and it was unfortunately at the time we weren't allowed to see her until she got quite ill, and they finally let us in to see her. And mom was not doing well. So we were so grateful that my partner and I could be with her and my family the last 3 weeks in the hospital. And
Yeah, well, yes, but and that was a horrible time for so many, and again, not being able to see loved ones when they were so ill, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's not easy at all. So with your mom's passing in 2021, it was a kind of a springboard effect where you found your paternal lineage. And did you always know that you were Métis?
I didn't know I was Métis, but I did know that I was Indigenous. Certainly people who were Indigenous would acknowledge me as such, as well as people who are non-Indigenous. But that was part of the quest, was to learn my heritage and my history. I was adopted, so there was no, at the time, there was a closed adoption, so there was no connection to my birth line. And as well, there was no name of my father or on my birth records or on my adoption record. So it was a big question mark.
Oh, I bet.
And so that's what propelled me into trying to discover. I long dreamed of knowing who my ancestors were and what was my name and how did I sort of arrive on the planet. So about 10 years ago, I submitted my DNA, and I had confirmation on my Indigenous background, but I didn't have of course, it doesn't tell you where exactly that is yet. I imagine in time they'll have that technology. But my mom passed Easter morning in 2021, which was the day before my birthday. The day after my birthday, I got a message from my bloodline cousin on Ancestry DNA who said that his wife, who had been doing the genealogy for the family, had found my birth father, and he was not only alive and well, but he knew of me and wanted to meet me. And so sort of all of my dreams of getting to know my history kind of came full circle. But it was such a disorienting time because I had deep grief from losing my dear mother.
Oh, yeah.
Who had adopted me. And then I was also really incredibly joyful at finally discovering, where I came from. So it took a while, of course, to kind of process everything. But I started a relationship with my father, and I started to learn about, my lineage and where we descended from and where we had originated. And so that was a really beautiful thing. And so I met him for the first time 2 years ago, and actually we just returned from our third visit out in the Pas, Manitoba. So it's been really quite an incredible experience. So I wanted to kind of capture the whole process. So being an adoptee as well as meeting my birth father and so the album kind of culminates with me declaring who and where I came from. So that's kind of the journey. And the first song that you played, Quest Before Me, it's at the beginning of the album, because we're all heroes on our own journey. And so, we're all on our journey. And so I wanted to kind of acknowledge that sometimes in the journey you have to take a risk, and you don't know where it's going to take you, but you sort of have to trust. And you also have to look deeper at yourself and, ask the questions that aren't always easy to answer, like who am I and where am I going and who am I really? So that's those are the kinds of questions that I explore on the album.
Well, it's an archetypal journey, isn't it? And it like you say, it really does. It's for all peoples. We all have this archetypal journey that we go on, and if we recognize it, and I know you adhere to to Joseph Campbell. I love him as well. The whole idea of the hero's journey and how all of those facets of it, it's part of life. It's why we're here, Yeah, we've got a journey, we've got a mission, and however that comes, and for you to find out, later in life, who, like what was that all about? Like how is it that you had to come through all of this? You were, right. Before you could learn, and that your dad's still alive.
Yeah. I mean, I reconciled a long time ago that I may never know, but I always thought, that I may never know my origin, and I had to, accept that, and I did. I worked in my other, as well as being a musician, I also worked as in counseling and mental health outreach and addiction, and I worked in the Indigenous community for a number of years. So I thought, well, at least I can still be part of community, even if I don't know exactly where I'm from, and I was certainly welcomed, even though I couldn't, state where I came from. But it was just really, some friends said to me, maybe my mother had a hand in it and her passing somehow.
I was thinking the same thing, because it's no coincidence that as she passed, she said, okay, now it's time for Norine, to have her family. She was obviously a wonderful mother to you, and the one who raises you is the one, that's your parent, and
that's exactly,
so,
yeah.
But to find,
she's my mother and both my parents, my mom and dad. My dad died about 24 years ago,
right.
Who raised me, but they both would have, been open and supportive had I found my birth family. And in fact, my mother had often suggested that she could help me if I wanted to, but at the time I just didn't seem at the right time. So, adoptees often have a real strong sense of loyalty too. So
yeah,
so that's part of that too, I think.
Well, you were released from that.
Yeah, exactly.
You were released and you found, that is so exciting. So you know what? I did want to play My Relations. So this is a good point for that. And we'll play My Relations, because that's just full of joy. And of course, that's the 12th track on it's a 12-track album. It's fantastic, And when I think about how quickly this album came together, and that, unless you had some things already written, we'll talk about that. Did you have some of these songs already written before you had found your dad?
I had the spoken word in Abandon was the only thing that I'd written like 40 years ago. Okay. And I always thought it was a song to a lover, but now I think it was actually a poem to my birth mother. Oh. As I'm older and mature now, I think that's a birth mother thing. So, so that's kind of
how we grow. Everything changes. So this is All My Relations. I love this song. I love them all. Here it is. All My Relations from Journey Toward Wholeness, Norine Braun. And you're going to love this.
I was getting on in years, and I still long to know where and who I came from. Stars align, and very soon my heritage unfolded. The first call with Dad and my auntie, they declared you are Red River Métis. Pierre Patois is your grandpa of 3 greats, one of Riel's council of 40. Louis Riel's your great-great-uncle now, through marriage. He's the father of Manitoba Confederation, his death justice miscarried. Riel said the people would sleep long, 100 years, and the artists would wake them and bring back their spirit and homeland. Pierre was among the last great buffalo hunters on the prairies, settled and farmed in Grandtown by a Cinnabon River. Along with Andre, his dad from the fur trade, and his mother Marguerite and her brother Cuthbert Grant, the first leader of the Métis. Now Pierre was hurt bad in the reign of terror. Abused as a prisoner, it took years to heal. He left for Alberta. Pierre's granddaughter spoke me Chief. Her son's your grandpa who served in the Second War. He went missing hunting on his trap line. His first son's your dad, next you came out fine. One last legendary fox I also found was king. Three Gray's grandma was little sister to old Pierre, but then we're all related, all my relations, as Auntie says. Me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin. Me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin. Me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin. Me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin. Me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin. Me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin. Me taco ye o yesin, me taco ye o yesin.
And it's All My Relations, Norine Braun, from her brand new album, just released May 24th, Journey Toward Wholeness. And what I get from that song, Norine, is just, it's like the joy of a little girl. It's like, look what I found out, and there's this one and there's that. And then, oh my goodness, we're related to Riel, and well, not related to Riel, but to the founding fathers and everything. We just finished Canada Day, it's July 2nd, and look at the rich fabric. Look at how intertwined you are with the First Nations, the Métis, everything, and the interaction. We're not just one thing or another. We are many things. You have relatives who fought in the Second World War. You've got, people who were trappers, people who were, we're all integrated. Here we are. We live together in Canada. And how do we make it work? That we're not saying we're this, we're that, we're, like too much. To be honest, I don't like diversity. I think it's not a good thing because it splits people apart. I'd love to see more unity, I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but it just, for me, and,
Right.
and because we all have so much to give each other, and look what your family alone has given to this land. I just call it the land,
It's true. Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of that, I'm saying a Dakota word, mitako yeo yesi.
Yes. What
And
does that mean?
which means all my relations in Dakota. And when my first email from my aunt, she signed it all my relations, mitako yeo yesi. So I thought that was so beautiful because that's, not everybody gets to find their origin and where they come from. But when we boil it all down and to the basics, we are all connected. We are all related. So,
Yes.
we are members of humanity. So I thought that was that's sort of how I wanted it to come full circle. So we are all connected for sure. We're all.
Absolutely, we are. We try to split ourselves up and everything, and yet, why do we do that? And I love just wanted to talk about your album a little bit about the trees. I have a friend who's got synesthesia, okay, and she's actually she is painting the trees, the sounds of the trees, because she can hear the music coming out of the trees.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, she's really cool. You'd like her. You guys get together with the tree thing, But it's true. Everything has a spirit. Everything.
Oh, for sure.
Everything. People have thrown the baby out with the bathwater. With there was animism. So many, in ancient cultures that everything had and we know it not had, it has. I just spent time in the garden today, and as I was transplanting all the plants, I talked to them. I said, I'm taking you to a new home. Everything's going to be fine. I'll give you lots of water, but because I knew it was traumatizing for them,
Really, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember in in high school, I did this biology experience where I had two plants, and one I was nurturing, and the other one I was yelling at.
Oh,
And
no.
the one that was nurtured really grew and thrived, and the other one just was sort of
Yeah.
withering away. So
It's
I think that's evident that if you take care for something, it will grow and it will nurture. And I think if something's alive, it's an energy. So of course it's going to respond to whatever energy is directed toward it or around it.
Well, I want to also talk about two-spirited because within I guess Aboriginal culture, a lot of times, and I believe you have a connection here with a healer, a two-spirit healer. I correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole idea is people who were two-spirited or even just different, like they were not segregated from society. They were not pushed aside, but it's almost like putting aces in their places. It's like, so what do they have to give? What special gift does everybody have, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's like everyone has there's a reason for everything, right? It's like,
well, I think gender and sexuality are constructs. So I think in a different culture, people are just allowed to be who they are and whatever their gifts were. I did an album earlier, Gone to the Spirits, which was about a two-spirit warrior woman who lived 200 years ago. And
that's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
yeah, in present day Creston area. But when I was talking to the Ktunaxa, she was from the Ktunaxa Nation, and I was talking to their archivist, and she said, well, in terms of survival, if you have a woman who happens to be a really great hunter, you're not going to make her adhere to a cultural norm if that's not going to serve the group. If she's a good hunter, you want her to be the hunter. And same with, if there's a male who happens to be a good whatever, most do like sewing or something, if that's the survival of the group. So people aren't going to be pigeonholed into what they're supposed to be. They're going to be who they are and supported who they are so that they can best serve the group and the survival of the group. So so I think, the European construct kind of was introduced and things changed. Sure. But, I'm not a historian, but just based on what I've encountered, I think that was sort of the crux, is that people are allowed to be who they are because it best serves the community. If people can hunt or sew or forage or whatever it is, or raise children,
cook or raise children,
if they're gifted in that, they're gifted in that, then that's going to be celebrated and encouraged because everybody will benefit from that.
Absolutely. And I think maybe that's a way, for us to go forward on the planet, because everybody has a gift. And also, unfortunately, especially in the artistic community, a lot of people are discouraged from going into the arts because, you better get something that's going to pay you money and you better get a job. And you better get, have something back up. And it's good. It's good. Obviously, everyone needs money. We have to pay the rent or the mortgage or whatever, food, clothing, everything costs. But at the same time, we need to have societies that embrace all of everything, from the left to the right to, like it, and what's in between, everything. It's like two circles, coming together. And, but yeah, I sound a little weird, but you understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, for
Just,
sure. I mean,
yeah.
we want to be supported in the arts, but at the same time, if it's your calling, you'll do it with or without.
No, it's true. It's true. People will follow it because they can do no other thing, they can do
Yeah.
nothing else.
And so then they go away. But yeah, I mean, you want to be dedicated if you're an artist. You put your music or your art or whatever it is out there because it's a calling. You have to. So hopefully, the culture like Canada. I mean, I live in a province that's very supportive for the arts.
Oh yeah, British Columbia is great.
And in Canada with the Canada Arts Council, I've been very grateful to have been supported with a lot of my projects. But I think part of that support comes because I was dedicated and because I did put my own money and my own time and everything into it to say that, this is important to me, and whether or not I get funding from, I'm going to make this. So
yes, exactly. Well, yeah, and you've got 14 albums.
Yeah,
that's not nothing,
No.
That's quite a discography you have. And I'm going to send people now while they're listening. Norine Braun. I always want to say Brown, but is it Braun or Brown for you? How do you?
I say Braun.
Braun. Okay. Yeah.
Like the shape. Norine Braun, Braun.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So
it's Norine, Norine. So
it's NorineBraun.com, and you can go. That's NorineBraun.com, and definitely go there to because you can purchase. And this is another thing, purchasing people's music. And you made a really good point because I wish I had thought of that, because I have stuff on Spotify, and you get 0.00007 cents, 7 cents per stream. It's really is a pittance. It's to get, and you were mentioning that buying an album or a song or whatever, is actually about 5,000 streams.
Right.
On Spotify, and that's very true. Oh my goodness. Sure. You get $25 from that, and you think, people are listening to my music. It's a lot of people, but it's not right. It's just not right.
Yeah.
No,
I think anytime someone can support the artist directly is like really helps the artist, by, T-shirts, CDs, whatever you're selling.
Well, yeah, and you've got everything here on your website. So, and you've got the basically you've got some prices obviously for albums, but you've also got your price as well for some of the songs, some of the music, which is great because don't you find that averages out just right?
Usually, yeah. Usually it works out.
Yeah,
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got Gone to the Spirits T-shirt. Oh, that looks great. Oh my gosh, you've got some beautiful stuff here. And
I'm thinking of moving over to Printify, which prints on demand.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm hoping to have it in place in the next month where you can actually order. I'll have I have T-shirts for every album, but I don't want to buy all the merch. I'd rather buy it on demand. So some other friends who are artists are doing Printify or Printful.
So how much is each because that sounds really great. Do they also do mugs and stuff like that?
Yeah, they do everything.
They do everything. Printify. That sounds good.
And then you can integrate it into your website. The only thing is I would be selling my CDs, so I have to look into how, if people wanted to do multiple purchases, how exactly will that work? So
you can do packages. Do packages.
But one is I'm sending it, and the other is the Printify will print it and send it. So
right. So how would you do packages there?
Exactly. That's what I haven't quite figured that out, but that's the next step. So I'm hoping to have that in place, though. I think that's the way to go for an independent artist. That way, your apartment's not consumed by
boxes of unworn T-shirts.
Yeah. I mean, they're great. They're great for live shows. You always need that.
But. Oh yeah, we've got some gigs coming up. Have you?
Yeah. We just yesterday we played Surrey Canada Day, which is Western Canada's largest Canada Day festival, and that was really fun. And it just happened that the studio, one of the studio techs was a drummer, and he was playing while we were sound checking. So I asked him to sit in, and he played with us. So it was really fun.
Oh, that's
Spontaneous.
wonderful.
And he ended up being an adoptee, and so he was really touched by the story. So it's funny how things kind of just happen that way.
Well,
And then, yeah, this week we're playing at Kate's Park
and where's
for North.
that?
They have it's in North Vancouver, and they have this really cool. It's the first time they're doing it. It's a culture called Culture Paths, and so instead of so people are taken on this path, and they come to, like, I'm the singer-songwriter, so we come, and my partner Alice will be playing with me. We play 15 minutes for them, and then they go to the next spot. They go for a little hike, and then there's a ventriloquist. And then they go
Right.
for another hike, and there's a comedy team. And then at the end, there's a big finale, and it's a gospel choir. Marcus Mosley, he's very popular here in Vancouver. And so, yeah, so it's like this kind of wilderness adventure, but they come to all these artsy things as they go on this path. And then there's on Saturday, they're going to have one for people who can't access the paths,
Oh, yeah.
where we'll play for
Wheelchair
them.
accessible kind of thing, or
Yeah,
walker
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
So I'm really excited. It's the first time to have this, and I used to do. They used to have symphony in the park in our Pacific Spirit Park, where they would have it lined up with musicians and people could go for a hike.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that anymore. So it's kind of like that, and it's so nice. And then I'm going to be playing songs for trees songs. So
That'll be really nice. Well, it's like, I like it. They're 15 minutes each. These they're micro performances,
right.
and it's not expensive to go. It's like anywhere from $15, $25, $35. Like, so that's really good for a walk in the park. And just listening to all this great music. What a great concept that is. Jesus, a ventriloquist, there's you, of course. That is so cool. Yeah, there's a gospel choir, and there's they've got all kinds of stuff. So, geez, I wish I was in Vancouver for the 4th. That sounds like a lot of fun. Well, maybe we get some Americans coming up to walk through the park on their holiday. Anyway, that'd be great. But yeah, you've Do you prefer performing live or recording? Which would you like best?
Oh, recording.
Yeah, it is wonderful, isn't it?
I like it because you don't have to be perfect. Not that you have to be perfect when you perform live, but when you perform live, you get one shot and you play it. But recording, you can do it until it feels exactly what you want.
I love the way your producer has recorded the songs. I find there's a lot of space in it. I don't know how to explain that. There's a lot of air, because your voice has that beautiful. It's not breathy quality, but it just wafts. That's what I will say. It wafts, and it's absolutely soothing and beautiful. And considering what you're writing about, some may write it in a different kind of an emotion or something, but it's absolutely beautiful. So that whole bluesy, jazzy, even a little bit of country there. There's a little bit in there, No, but it's beautifully done, and I love that I can hear all of the lyrics. I mean, that I have problems when I can't hear the lyrics, clearly. I know it's a style, but so let's play another song from your album. You got 12 tracks on here. Let's play a few anyway, so get people hearing them. So which one would you like to play? Quicksand was interesting. I found that one.
Yeah, and I just want to say, it's Adam Popowitz produced it, and I've worked with him for 8 albums, I think. So we've got a really great connection. So he's an amazing producer here in Vancouver. And so I'm just honored that he keeps working with me.
No, he's amazing. And do you use pretty much the same musicians on your recordings, or do you switch around?
Well, I usually have a guest musician. Elliot Polsky's played drums on the last 8. Huggy Bear Leonard's played on the last 8, and my partner Alice has been played on the last 7. And then we've had different sax players. We've had Kathleen Nisbet is on the latest album. She's a fiddle player. We've had all sorts of people sit in. So it depends on the album and the vibe we're going for. But usually I have one guest musician on it. So, but I have my core, and then they also play live with me, Elliot and Huggy Bear and Alice.
I love the name Huggy Bear. That's great.
Yeah. He's a blues harp, and
who can't love someone named Huggy Bear?
Exactly.
Like,
He is like his name.
he
too.
can do no wrong, He can do no wrong. That's it, Yeah. Well, what song would you like to play then next? I love.
Quicksand is great. Yeah.
Yeah, Quicksand's
Sure.
great. I really enjoyed Grandma's Jig too because and I'm going to just digress to that a little bit. Grandma's Jig, was that based on grandmother from your adopted mother's side or from your paternal side?
Well, it was a tribute to my Métis grandmother who I never met. So when I was getting to know my dad, and I was asking like, well, what was his mother life like? And she loved to Métis jig. She would love to sing, and her mother was also a Métis fiddler. So I imagined what it might have been like. So that's the verses of having met her. What was she like in my mind's eye? So I'm sort of coming at it from the point of view of a child. Like, what would it have been like to have known her? And then the choruses are actually honoring the grandmothers that I did know who did raise me. So and then of course my bloodline as well. So that's like my Baba, my Ukrainian grandma, and Oma, my German Mennonite grandma. And so then I have Nanny, which is a Scottish term, which would have been the Métis, and Grandmère, which would be my French Métis as well. So so it's and then Nokum Kokum are like Cree words for grandma, and Unchi is a Dakota word for grandma. So that's honoring all grandmothers, because all grandmothers need honoring. So
absolutely, and mothers are very important in well, there's maternal lineage and there's paternal lineage, and a lot of the First Nations, it's maternal lineage that counts. So let's play Grandma's Jig now that we.
Sure.
Okay. I love that, and then we can go to Quicksand later. Here we go.
Yeah, I was just going to say at the end of the tune, you'll hear Kathleen Nisbet, the fiddle player, plays a sample of Red River Jig, which is the Métis anthem, and also it's my father's favorite jig. And then following that, it switches to Big John McNeil, which was my Métis grandmother's favorite jig. So you'll hear those at the end.
Oh, that's great! And there's so many great Métis bands. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, there are, and and it wasn't long ago that they were not included in First Nations celebrations, but now they are.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So here we go with Grandma's Jigs. Everyone get your dance shoes on. This is it. Here we go.
Grandma loved to Métis jig. She'd grab our hand, her hair with a sprig. We'd dance Red River, Big John McNeil. We'd laugh so hard that she'd make us squeal. Nokum, kokum, baba anchi. Grandmother, grandmère, Oma nanny. Would bake us a cake, bannock pie bread, pepper in the cookies and Pasca fed. Grandma loved the bunny hop, horse step skipping, she'd never stop. Her liver would quiver, she'd giggle and sway. The fiddle would lift her and she'd dance away. Nokum, kokum, baba anchi. Grandmother, grandmère, Oma nanny. Bake us a cake, bannock fried bread, pepper in the cookies and Pasca fed. Grandma twirled around the gillen tree. Kindness, caring, and honesty. Patience and courage, a fancy steps. Strength and sharing will give us depth. Oh, nokum, kokum, baba anchi. Grandmother, grandmère, Oma nanny. Bake us a cake, bannock fried bread, pepper in the cookies and Pasca fed. Nokum, kokum, baba anchi. Grandmother, grandmère, Oma nanny. Bake us a cake, bannock fried bread, pepper in the cookies and Pasca fed. Nokum, kokum, baba anchi. Grandmother, grandmère, Oma nanny. Bake us a cake, bannock fried bread, pepper in the cookies and Pasca fed. Nokum, kokum, baba anchi. Grandmother, grandmère, Oma nanny. Bake us a cake, bannock fried bread, pepper in the cookies and Pasca fed.
Wow, what joy in that. And Norine, this brings me back to my childhood because you talk about DNA. I had mine done, and I'm early French Canadian settlers, So we're from the Hochelaga, Montreal, Quebec City, Ottawa area, that whole deal, and Maniwaki, But yeah, my grandfather used to play rubber dolly and all the fiddle, and my père Frank and my père Laviolette used to play the spoons, taught me how to play the spoons. And I hear this and I'm just like, there's so much joy in it
Yeah,
and so much
there is.
happiness. And it's something that this is part of our Canadian culture. If we think we haven't got a culture, we sure do. We have an amazing culture,
Sure.
and we need to embrace it better than we have been, instead of making everybody, like I was talking about before, feeling everyone feel all separate, and awful about who they are and everything. Stop, celebrate it. Absolutely. Because this is where we're at right now. This is where we're here now. This is where we sit, So let's make the most of it, right?
Sure. Yeah,
What the
definitely.
heck?
Life is short.
Yeah, go ahead.
Life is short. You want to embrace everything that you can, the joy and the suffering and the growth and the pain and the hope,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. So we can pass it along to future generations like it was passed along to you. Look at your history. Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing. And that you found out, this is a great gift that you have
it is.
here. It's a huge
It's a
gift.
tremendous gift. Yeah, I feel so grateful for it, and to be able to share it with people who, it's a remarkable story to have everything come full circle and to finally to discover who I am. And
Mhm.
and it seems like a destiny. I don't know, some things I think are destiny.
Well, yeah. When we come to the planet here as a soul, which has no gender, up in the soul space, in that whatever universe that is, wherever we sit, wherever we live before we come into the body, But yeah, it's like we have something we got to do. We got to make the most of things, and we're here to do something to change, yeah, it's a soul growth thing.
Yeah.
I noticed I was just reading here in your bio about how you'd watched a pair of crows raise their family on the branches of a tree, and the raccoons spending the night there. But crows are my absolute favorite bird. They are so fascinating, and we can learn so much from the birds and animals and plants around us. And it
Oh,
looks
yeah,
it looks like you have integrated that into your music.
for sure. Yeah, I have a whole album called Crow, which is all about a pair of crows that nested. And at first they came to me in a dream. I had this dream about these crows.
Oh,
And then about a month later, I started doing Jungian analysis, which I did for many, many years, which I find so fascinating, which is
sure.
dream work.
Yeah, it
And
is. Yeah, it's
and
great.
it was the first dream that we really explored. And then about a month after we were exploring this dream, it happened. It was sort of like a premonition. These pair of crows, they nested. And so I just thought, okay, that's a sign. I'm going to do a whole album about crows
Yeah.
and and how important they are. And it's interesting, because crows, people either really love them or they really hate them. There doesn't seem to be a lot of neutrality. I really love crows,
I do
but
too.
people
They're my
really,
favorite bird. That and
yeah,
ravens. Oh yeah, they're wonderful. And the thing
but
is, crows are the same way. They either like you or they hate
yeah,
you. They have
that's
no in
true.
between either. They go like, I'm not going to sit in your tree if I don't like you. So they obviously liked you a whole lot to sit in that tree.
For
To
sure.
nest in the tree, raise their family.
Yeah,
You know.
watch it. And it was a maple tree, which I ended up writing a song about the red maple in
Uh-huh.
my songs for trees. But it was like you could almost touch them. They were so close, just off our balcony. So it was just really marvelous to witness
Oh.
the whole life cycle of them. Yeah.
And to what and they're tool makers and they
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah they do. So you probably got to see some up close and personal stuff that they would do to improvise and to yeah. No,
They,
they're wonderful, and they each have a different caw. They don't have they have a language.
they do. Yeah. And they know you.
They do.
They don't remember. They don't forget, I mean.
No,
They
they
don't
never
forget.
they never forget a face. Literally. No, but that it gives me a lot of happiness to talk to you about this, because when we notice these things around us, I think it really enriches our lives. Instead of looking at the minutiae of the messes, that are here on the planet, just go out, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Hug a tree. No, get out in the garden, go for a walk, take a look at something. Take a look, even you're in the city, look at the buildings, look at the architecture, look at walking on the pavement and how was that made, like just take a look around. Say hello to someone while you're walking down the street. It doesn't
And I think like the more gratitude you have for what you see and what you experience, the happier your life is. So we don't become happy. We're happy because we acknowledge all that we have around us in the moment. So yeah, so that's sort of what I've discovered is like looking at all of the joy, like the crows and the
Oh yeah.
trees.
Well, your
And
albums are
very
all
sad.
about that. They're all about that. Every album. I'm looking at your discography, and your albums speak to all of those things. And I really love the photo, the picture on your journey towards wholeness, toward wholeness. It's the buffalo. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Brandywine. That was a Brandywine did the image, and Tony Lee did the graphic design for it. He did all my T-shirts and the album cover and the inserts. And he's a local art graphic guy, and he's really talented. Yeah,
Yeah.
just giving him a plug.
No, absolutely, because artists need musicians need great artists to flesh out their dreams. Yeah, and I love your one. You got the Sex in the Forest, but it's not what people think. It's about what the Douglas firs, or
Exactly. Yeah,
they're
it's
amazing too.
Yeah, Douglas firs have both male and female cones, which I did not know until I was researching stuff for the album,
I
and so
didn't
they only
either.
really need themselves to procreate. So I was,
If only.
they can do it all themselves.
It's like the Amazons or something, Well, they just brought the men into the tribe, and then they sent them away, or they killed them. I forget. Anyway, but yeah, it's true. And then there's a lot of creatures like that who can do that. But a tree, I had no idea.
I didn't either. So
And they're
that's
so
what
magnificent, the
firs is
Douglas
about.
firs.
Yeah, yeah. So it always usually gets a laugh when I introduce it. So it's like it's not quite what you think, but
No. But it's catchy. You want that. And
yeah,
you've got
yeah. But it
2020.
really was an interesting idea. I thought, oh, I didn't know that about Douglas fir trees. So
Yeah.
I
And
never look at them the same.
no, I will never look at a Douglas fir. That's why they're maybe so strong
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
big, tall. No, they are. I don't know. I would say, I don't know. I mean, the maple is our national tree, but I'd say right next to it would be the Douglas fir, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's magnificent.
And the cedar as well.
And the cedar, yes. Well, cedar, of course, because especially if you go into the First Nations with smudging and everything, Actually, I learned a hard lesson. I used to have a metaphysical bookstore, and I used to sell sweetgrass and smudging wands, right? I had someone come in and say, "You're not supposed to sell that. It's something you give to people."
Yeah,
So
usually.
I stopped, and it wasn't that fresh either. You get it from from the supplier, and it's like comes in kind of dry, and everything. I thought it wasn't very nice anyway. But yeah, it absolutely. There are some things within First Nations culture that you don't. It's not appropriation or anything, but you're not supposed to sell it. You can
Right,
use
because
it.
there's a whole ceremony about gathering medicines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it's just done like a factory, there's
Commercially, yeah.
it loses the whole
It's energy.
meaning.
It's energy and its meaning. Yeah.
Like factory farming animals. It's the same. That's disgusting, right? So
Yeah.
it comes from that kind of place of just treating them like they're nothing.
Yeah, well, exactly. It takes it, and maybe that's what we have to get back to. I mean, we still can, eat animals, we can still, cultivate crops, we can still do things, but how do we do it in a sustainable way that's going to still feed our growing population without, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
a
mean, we've lost,
conundrum.
I mean, I think there's a loss of sacredness of life,
Hmm.
you know,
I have to.
in current modern society. I think we've lost that sacredness so profoundly.
How do you think I have an idea, but how do you see, when did it start, do you think?
Um, well, I think we haven't kept up, like haven't kept up to the intelligence in terms of our technology.
Hmm.
We haven't kept up to it emotionally. And there's a great divide between emotional intelligence and actual intelligence, like making things and doing things. And so there, we were so behind in terms of ethics and in terms of just how to develop
Hmm.
our mind and our heart. So I think that's until we can catch up. I think it's kind of, it's really painful.
And interesting the ways that you catch up, but I'm thinking what we need to do is take more time,
Yeah.
with things to slow down.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, people are so unconscious now with their phones scrolling. You go into a room, no one's even engaged with each other. They're all looking at their phone.
Hmm.
You know,
Oh yeah,
it's really, there's this big disconnect from just being together, uh, you know,
yeah, it's
which
true.
is kind of strange.
Well,
Yeah.
even when we first got, remember when we first got call waiting on our regular
Yeah.
phones. So it was kind of like, oh, I've got a call coming through. I got to drop you. Before it used to be if a call came through, it just would ring busy on the other end, and you'd just keep calling until the line wasn't busy, and that person,
Yeah.
and you could finish a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I
You
know,
know?
like when I taught at Native Education College and
Hmm.
in the communications program and the counseling program, and
Oh, okay.
for a number of years. And I would always tell my students, I said, this is before, like when cell phones were becoming really popular. And I
Yeah.
said, your phone is off in my classroom. You're becoming a counselor. And if you answer your phone, your message to your client is that they are second. They don't matter.
Yeah.
That phone is more important than who you're sitting with. So that's the message. So, and I think that's, we should not just counselors, but everybody,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
true.
when
It
you're with someone, you give them your full attention, just out of respect and courtesy.
Absolutely. Well,
We've lost,
we
but I
have.
think we can get back.
Well, we
It's a
might be
learning.
forced to get back. It's sometimes things just happen. Like satellites fall from the sky. I don't know.
Sure.
you know, Dysfunctional. It is a technology, after all. It's not like nature that replenishes itself. A satellite breaks.
No.
That's it. So why don't we play Quicksand, because we were going to
Sure.
play that. Now, give me the backstory for that, because that sounds like it's got a big story behind it.
Sure. Quicksand is sort of it's a fantasy. Like when you're an adoptee, you wonder, like, how did I get here? What's the story of my birth? What was I born? And so this is sort of a fantasy on how I might have come into the world. But having said that, it's also a composite of people who I've encountered in my life who have shaped me and who shall remain nameless. But
In good,
yeah,
bad,
so
the good,
it's
the
just,
bad, and the ugly, is it? Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So it's kind of all of these characters are kind of creating this idea, of how I might have come to the world. Parts of it are true, parts of it aren't. So it's more, I think, more fantasy than anything. But
Yeah.
and it's quicksand, like my drummer Elliot was saying. He wished he could just like break through, but in the song it keeps building, but it never really breaks through. But I'm thinking, well, that's sort of the quicksand, right? You
Yeah.
never, you never get free of it, kind of. So it
Yeah.
takes you,
It takes you down, down, down. Well,
yeah.
ooh. Anyway, so Quicksand. Yeah, all the tracks on this album, Journey Toward Wholeness, are excellent and beautifully produced. And kudos to your team, fantastic, great producer, and the lyrics, the music, everything is beautiful. So here's Quicksand by Norine Braun from Journey Toward Wholeness.
Thanks.
Welcome.
quicksand coming up over my head. Never heard nothing the old woman said. Her dishcloth's cleaning out all of my brain. All I know is that I'll never be the same. Oh. Young man running up over the hill, trying to find something he never will. His daddy said that boy won't amount to much. Too busy drinking and dreaming and such. Her mama said nothing good will come from this. Don't accept nothing, not even a kiss. Baby girl born followed by shame. No one knew of her, not even her name. Quicksand coming up over my head. Never heard nothing the old woman said. Her dishcloth's cleaning out all of my brain. All I know is that I'll never be the same. Quicksand coming up over my head. Never heard nothing the old woman said. Her dishcloth's cleaning out all of my brain. All I know is that I'll never be the same.
My goodness, that sounds so swampy. I love it. You know what I mean? It's got swampy, intense, and yeah. And it is kind of partly fantasy, like a dream, you know, like you're running. Yeah, it's great. Love it. And my goodness, the guitar is amazing in this. Just
Yeah,
Oh,
Adam played the lead and I did the rhythm on that one. Yeah.
oh, wow, absolutely magnificent. Yeah, the rhythms are amazing in this,
Thanks.
and yeah, and the sound is great. It's just yeah, I love it. You know, your music actually. When I was thinking of Jenny C. Riley, you know, when I'm listening to this, you know, and with that swampy kind of, you know, like music from the early '70s, you know,
Oh,
your
yeah,
stuff really resonates there, right? For me,
sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
yeah, do you,
It's got those influences. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and real
I'm,
instruments.
I'm just really blessed because the musicians I work with are just really top of the line, and they're so giving and generous with what they do. So
Yeah.
I'm totally blessed to work with the whole group that
Oh,
I
the
do, Adam and
mhm.
Elliot and Alice and Huggy Bear, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, yeah, and the great ones are like that, you know. They really are generous, and they give so much, and it's part of the soul, you know. It's part of what yeah, it's who they are, and I love this song. You've got so many different genres on here, and that's what I love too. No, you know what? It's true. You know, you listen. No, it's important because the ear needs to change. I think what's
Mm,
happened with you know, when people get sort of you get pegged, you know, this is you're a blues artist or a jazz artist or a country artist or, you know, pop or whatever, and as soon as they, oh well, they're not, they've crossed over into this other genre or something, you know. And by the way, that's what the Junos drive me crazy for.
I
And I know
know.
yeah, because sometimes you can't find your genre to send in a song. This is not good.
Exactly.
It's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
awful lately, the last few years. I don't want to. I wasn't
I
able.
struggle. Yeah. I struggle with like, what am I? What am I? Like with Journey Toward Wholeness. I mean, at the beginning, I'm very chill. I'm very,
Hmm.
uh, ambient kind of sounding. And then at the end, I'm like totally country. And I've got, so where exactly do I put myself in the box? I mean, I tend toward like the radio AAA, but
Yeah.
I think people are sophisticated. They like more than just one
Uh huh.
style. If you look at anybody's music collection, they're going to have a variety of genres. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I've always tried to just write from my heart and in a variety of genres, but I mean, sometimes I think that's been not good in terms of, because people do want to put you in a box and they do want to know, are you country? Are you blues? Are you pop? Are you
Yeah.
rock? But I mean, I'm probably like yourself, you're a songwriter for your first, right? So you're going
Yeah.
to create what you're feeling and
Exactly. And it may be blues, it may be jazz, it may be rock, you
yeah,
know, or
exactly.
country. It does, and that's the same thing when people are artists, you know, whether they're painting or sculpting. You know, people say, well, what medium do you use? Well, whatever works, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what you do. Although some artists won't cross over either. Oh, I'm an oil painter, I'm a watercolorist, or you know, but my gosh, just maybe we're just, you know, we have to society can be so uptight, you know. If you step outside the box, you're going, ugh, you know, it's like, what? Whoa, well, I wasn't expecting that. But this is beautiful because it flows, and it's nice to have something different to hear every track, you know,
Yeah.
so it doesn't become one big massive same
Oh,
sound,
I
you
mean,
know.
there's so many albums and it's basically the same song in different ways.
It is too. And as someone who's
Heard those.
and I know you can't divulge who you've adjudicated,
Right.
but as a Juno adjudicator, which is one, do you still do this?
I didn't this last year, but I have several times, about 10 times, I think, before. So,
There you
yeah.
go. So you know what I'm talking about, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that either,
No.
except you know,
And
don't.
it sells because
It
people
does.
know that they're going to get the same sound for the whole album. So, I mean,
Yes.
that's the drawback, right? If you are experimental,
Yeah.
some people they just want blues,
Yeah.
or
And
they
and
just
and that way you
want jazz.
can. Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, and that way you can pull your single from it, you know. And well, that's another thing. A lot of people are just releasing singles now because it's much
Boy.
easier.
Ooh. Well, what's been really shocking to me with this album is like some of the major publications, they no longer do reviews of albums because nobody really reads them. It's just become so singles
Uh-huh.
oriented, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of my artist friends, that's what they're doing. They're not even releasing albums, they're doing singles or EPs.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that way too, how it's changed. But I'm staying true to albums. I like albums, so
Well,
I'm old school.
well, that's your storytelling.
okay.
This is your chapter book.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's what's different, and every chapter has some different situation. You know, so I love how you're really a great storyteller.
Well, thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome. I mean, it's just the truth. It's the truth. You know, c'est vrai là. Anyway, everything. Yeah, my French is not very good. My mother didn't want me to speak French because she didn't want me to be put in a bad position here. You know, 1955 when I was born, French Canadians were second-class citizens in Canada. So you know, it wasn't until bilingualism and biculturalism that we became. Recognized, you know. So yeah, but there are a lot of Métis people in Canada. Actually, I'm just looking at a census here. Where did that go? Here it is. Back in the 2021 census, there were 585,110 Métis in Canada.
Wow,
that's 2021. Yeah, so it's 2024. So when you were discovering yourself.
So everybody else was too.
So there's 585,111 now. So,
yeah, there you go.
No, but that's really something. But actually, it was important for you to find the First Nations part of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to know because I was involved in the culture, and I just really wanted to know how did I get here, really.
Yeah, so. Because if you're Métis. You can't necessarily be what they call First People, right?
No, because you're not. You're not considered. You're Indigenous, but you're not a treaty. You're not a treaty person because there's no treaty for Métis people.
That's right.
So
maybe that'll change at some point. I don't know. I don't think so, though, right?
Well, we'll see. Time will tell.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I hope it does. So we're coming to the end of this. Conversation here. I wanted to play one more song to go out. Adoption? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, that's a cheerful one.
Well, yeah. So could you pick something a little? How about? Well, there's "Journey Towards Wholeness," which is the title track of the album.
No, adoption's great. I think it's a great ending.
Okay, so let's do that, and then we'll just don't go away. Don't go away. We'll just play this, and then we'll be right back with Norine Braun and we'll be right back.
I searched for who and what I am. Where my roots in history land. These are the questions that I find. Who and what was left behind? And whose eyes do I have? A talent smile alone. Is nature inherited? Learned from love. The groom is strong. Ancestral rivers cry. I often wipe my eyes. Mirrors cold, reflecting shine. A piercing shame, rejection hides. Whose blood once released, hollow veins did. Any soul know of my pain? How I wandered endlessly that I lost you, but I found me. Yes, I found me. Long ago I reconciled the part that's missing since a child. It shaped me to understand. I'm one with all across the land. And whose eyes do I have? A talent smile alone. Is nature inherited? Learned from love. The groom is strong. Ancestral cold, reflecting shine, a piercing shame, rejection hides, whose blood runs through these hollow veins deep. Any soul know of my pain, how I wander endlessly there. I lost you, but I found me. Yes, I found me. 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 I found me.
Adoption. And oh, Norine, I could hear some of, I think, your Sade influences in there.
Yeah.
Very smooth jazz. Very nice. See, isn't that nice? It changes up the ear. I love
Totally
it.
does.
Oh, it does. Grandma's jig and all the different things. It's been, from that to this, that takes, can take a lot of courage actually, but you have plus de courage, but also for telling your story. And it's a story that belongs to a lot of people in this country, in Canada. We have some very specific situations that have happened historically, and
Right.
we have history, and we have and we need to recognize everything. And I'm so glad you were able to come on the program today. I want to recommend that people go to your website, which is NorineBraun.com, NorineBraun.com. There you'll find out where she's gigging. You'll be able to buy some merchandise and some wonderful music, and consider these like storybooks. They're absolutely beautiful. So you're buying a lovely chapter book. There you go, Norine. That's your selling feature, because they are. That's what they are. I've got to get Crow.
Yeah, you'd really like that if you love crows, totally.
Oh, every time I hear them out there, it's like wonderful. We have a red-tailed hawk that actually circles around here looking for rock doves, pigeons, for dinner every so often. So, can you right in the middle of Toronto? Yes, we do. Yes, I'm in Midtown Toronto. So, again, thank you so much for coming here, all the way from Vancouver to Toronto via the universal vibrations here, and all the best. And just keep sending your music, and we'll and you can send them as singles if you want.
Okay,
we'll play them.
Do that.
Yeah, as they come out, we'll play them. Anyway, take care and have a wonderful, wonderful summer gigging. And again, thank you everyone for joining me here on the Joyce Aldrich Show for just some fabulous music here with Norine Braun, and we'll be back with more great entertainment for you on the Joyce Aldrich Show.
Thank you so much, Joyce. I can say it's been an honor and a joy talking with you, Joyce, and it was just a delight to learn about your show and to be a featured guest here. And I wish you all the best, and thanks for supporting music and independent artists. It means a great deal, I know, to me, and I know to people who are trying to get their music heard. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well, everyone's got a wonderful story, and yours is really quite profound and amazing. So I want everyone to hear it and to buy your music and to go to your gigs. So we'll be back with more great music on the Joyce Aldrich Show. And Norine Braun, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are listening to the Joyce Aldrich Show from Toronto, Canada, Arts and Entertainment Edition.